It's Ladies Talking Love, episode 74, Body Image and Sex.
It's Ladies Talking Love, a community of women uncovering more joy and fulfillment in sex as we learn from experts and amazing women like you. Together, let's create a world where women's sexuality is celebrated and understood, beginning with our own. I'm your host, Ariel Finlinson. Let's talk love.
Before jumping in, I want to let you know that if you felt like you've been in an intimacy slump, I have got the thing for you. Once a year, the Dating Divas put on a sex seminar where they invite experts to come and do a virtual seminar on all different topics about intimacy and sex. And this year, they have invited 17 experts who will be teaching about 17 different topics, all in different classes, covering topics from too busy and exhausted for sex to sex and menopause, and from duty to desire to emotional intimacy that leads to physical intimacy. And this year, I will be presenting all about Female Orgasm 101. All you have to do to get access to these 17 experts talking about 17 different topics is go to the show notes, click on the link, and you will automatically get my special discount for you. If you want access to all of those videos, it's usually $50, but with my code, you can get all of those videos for a whole year for only $35. So head to the show notes, do that extra little something to give your marriage some spark. But without further ado, let's talk love. Today, we are diving into body image and sex. If you are a woman, you have probably at some time in your life struggled with body image, or maybe you struggle now. I know for me that this has been an ongoing process in my life. I've talked about it on other podcasts, but I had an eating disorder in high school, and I really struggled to find worth in myself due to how my body looked. My worth as a woman was tied to my body. And even though for a long time, a lot of body image struggles have been more focused around women, it is becoming more common for men to struggle with body image. And so even though today I'm directing my remarks to women who struggle with body image and how that can affect sex and their sexual relationship, if you have a husband who struggles with body image, or you are a man who struggles with body image, I think that you're going to find a lot of helpful insights for you as well. The interesting thing is that how we feel about our bodies can actually be one of the most important things that affects our sex life. Dr. Emily Nagoski talks about that the number one thing we can do to actually improve our sex life is to improve how we feel about our bodies. Now, even though optimal sex is not about how our bodies look, I believe that optimal sex is about experiencing together what we can experience in our bodies and using that as a catalyst for deeply connecting experiences, for being seen and seeing our partner, for sharing love. However, our view about our bodies is crucial for creating a great sexual experience. In her book, Come As You Are, Dr. Emily Nagoski talks about this idea that it's not necessarily about, she says, quote, the parts you are made of or how they are organized, but how you feel about those parts. When you embrace your sexuality precisely as it is right now, that's the context that creates the greatest potential for ecstatic pleasure. And I want to stress that part where she said, precisely as it is right now. To embrace our sexuality, to embrace our bodies exactly as they are right now. So much of the messaging that we get, especially as women, is what we need to do to change our bodies, to quote unquote improve our bodies, which in the eyes of society is how we also improve our worth. But You don't have to change anything in your body right now or in your sexuality to get to a place where you can embrace your body, and embrace your sexuality right now as they are right now. And that is the key to unlocking your potential, because no matter where your body's at or your sexuality is at, you are going to feel like you are not enough. I know I felt that. I feel often like I am not enough. And so it's not about reaching this arbitrary goal. It's about finding peace in our bodies right now. So today I want to talk a little bit about why our body image has such a big impact on our sex life. And I want to start off by talking about, why does how we feel about our body affect us so much? From a young age, women have pretty much been bombarded with comments about women's bodies. I want to challenge you this week to listen to women's comments to each other. When they greet each other, I guarantee you are going to hear comments about their bodies, even before they say maybe their name or that they're happy to see them. It's going to be, hey, wow, did you get a new haircut? Wow, those pants look really good on you. Did you lose weight? And listen, before even saying hi, we're talking about their bodies. And I would say, I want to challenge you to try to not comment about other women's bodies, and instead look in their eyes and tell them, hi, I'm so happy to see you, instead of focusing on their bodies. Because of this tradition that we focus on women's bodies, we talk about them. That's the first comment or impression we have about women. A lot of our worth then is often tied to our bodies. And as we've seen in movies, the girls who are beautiful and curvy, the attractive ones, they're the ones who get the guy. And so also often we have felt pressured that we don't deserve love, or we can't be attractive to our partner if we don't fit these unrealistic stereotypes that are so shallow. And like we've talked about with the research from Dr. Sarah Hunter Murray, we often view from these movies, from books, from comments people make, we view that men's desire is turned on mainly from how women look. But Dr. Sarah Hunter Murray, digging into that research, she found that men's desire was so much more complex than we gave them credit to. And this lie that men's desire is pretty much only turned on from how women look can really make a shallow impression of men and water their desire down to how a body looks, when in reality, they're giving bids for connection to their partner, to their wife, because they care about them, because they love them, not just because they think their body is attractive. And obviously, it can be both. They can also find their body attractive. The men in her study found their partner's bodies attractive. But the interesting thing was that it didn't matter what type of body it was. A lot of these women were what would be considered overweight, but their partner found them attractive. So going back to then why this matters, how it affects us so much by how we feel about our bodies, it's hard to allow someone to see or touch parts of our bodies that we're embarrassed about. If we feel insecure in our bodies, it's hard to let our partner see us naked. It's hard to let them see our genitals. And it can be hard to accept that your partner actually desires you, even though you've gained weight, even though you have a baby belly, even though your breasts are sagging from breastfeeding, even though you have stretch marks. But because we are limited by how we view our bodies, we aren't able to accept the love that our partner is trying to give to us through showing us physical affection. And I want to talk for a little bit about our genitals. From a really young age, boys are encouraged to touch their penises when they use the bathroom. That is a normal thing. From a young age, no one thinks it's weird for a boy to touch his penis when he's using the bathroom. But I don't know of almost any circumstance where it was okay for a girl to touch her vulva, except maybe in the shower. But this gave the idea that vulvas are dirty, and especially because they're unknown. Because our vulvas almost seem foreign to us, we didn't get to touch them every time we used the bathroom, I guess when we wiped. But most of our sexual organs are internal, and we only see the outer labia unless we spread our vulva open. And there are so many messages that the discharge that comes from vaginas is dirty. There's all these body washes to make your vulva smell like flowers, to make your vagina smell like flowers. There's douching, which is actually really bad. Please do not douche. It can actually mess up your vaginal pH. But there's things like douching because there's this idea that women's vaginas are dirty. But vaginas are amazing. They are self-cleaning. They're an opening in our body that is self-cleaning. I don't think there's really any other opening in our body that is self-cleaning that you don't have to do anything with. Your nose, you have to blow. Your ears, you usually have to clean those. You have to brush your teeth and your tongue. The vagina is amazing, but this view of our genitals make it really hard for us to believe that our partner could be attracted to our vulva, that they would want to touch our vulva, that it's not dirty. It's hard to believe that it's not dirty. So, how we feel about our sexual organs and how we feel about how our body looks can have a really big impact on our ability to show up comfortably, to show up authentically in our sex life. And we already touched on this a little bit, but I want to bring it back up. So, then how does how we feel about our bodies affect our desire? When you feel ugly, when you feel fat, when you feel unattractive, it is so hard to imagine that our partner would want sex with us because we have been taught from a young age that men's sexual desire is based on how our bodies look. So when you haven't showered for 3 days because you're taking care of your young kids and you're feeling gross, and your husband comes up and touches you and wants to give you a hug, your bristles may immediately come up because you can't imagine that they would want to be intimate with you. And here, not necessarily talking about sex, but it can be hard to believe that you deserve love and you deserve intimate touch because you aren't put together. But that is not true at all. If sex was based on how our bodies look, if our worth was based on how our bodies looked, we would never be good enough for love or for a good sex life. And that's what everybody who's making money on all of the products, all of the weight loss things, all of the cute clothes, that's what they want you to think. They never want you to feel good enough in your body because they want your money. And we haven't even talked about now the next part. How does how we feel about our body affect orgasm? So there's something, I believe it was actually coined by Masters and Johnson. They were some researchers back in the 1950s and 60s, but they talked about this idea of spectatoring. So spectatoring is when in a moment of life, and specifically if we're talking about sex, instead of focusing on how your body is feeling in the moment, you are focused on how someone else is perceiving your body. And so spectatoring takes you out of the experience and you're instead focused on how someone else is viewing you. And so when we look at this in sexual encounters, you can see what happens. Instead of being present in the moment and allowing your spouse to love on you, allowing your body to feel the pleasure in the moment, you're thinking about how they're perceiving your body. You're wondering, oh, if I move this way, do my breasts look even flatter? If I shift this way, is my belly fat looking weird? Are my stretch marks showing weird? Oh, is my vulva smelly today? Or is it just not looking good? I didn't shave or I didn't I have too much hair on my vulva. Instead of being present in the moment, instead of being able to give and receive love, we are focused on how our spouse views us. And we're not able to feel what's happening in our bodies. And so when this can happen, it can actually prevent orgasm and it can prevent you from feeling pleasure because your focus is on how your partner sees you instead of what your body is feeling and instead of focusing on the love that your partner is trying to give to you. This is a lot, huh? How we view our bodies can have such a big effect on our ability to deeply connect in sex with our spouse. So, I want to give you a couple tips of things that have helped me. One of the absolute best resources I can recommend to you is the book More Than a Body by Lexi and Lindsay Kite. I will have that book linked in the show notes. But this book is absolutely fabulous. They are twin sisters, identical twins, who went into research looking at body image and all of these societal norms that focus on women as bodies first. And their whole position of this book is to help you see your body as an instrument instead of an object. Because you aren't there to decorate a room. You are there to be a participant in your life and to be able to do things with your body that serve and show love and create a beautiful life worth living. Another thing that has helped me is focusing on what my body can do instead of how my body looks. And so this can be really helpful to name all the amazing things that your body can do. Even if your kids, which if you have young kids, this will probably happen to you or already has, they might come up and say, Mom, your belly's big, or your belly's squishy, or why do you have wrinkles? And you, instead of being embarrassed, instead of showing shame for your body, you can practice showing appreciation. My belly is like this because I was able to have babies. Isn't that amazing that my body was able to grow you? I'm so grateful that my body could have a baby. Or wrinkles on around your eyes. Yeah, those are from smiling. Isn't it so cool that my little wrinkles around my eyes show that I've been able to smile so much in my life? Or when you're trying something new and you're struggling and you're like, I can't do this. This is too heavy or too hard. Focus on, wow, my body is amazing that I can learn to do something new, that I can get stronger, and that I can practice. Another thing that has helped me in the recent past, I've started calling my body she instead of it. My body naming her as a her or as a she helps me think of my body as something that deserves my love and my care and my respect, instead of what I used to think of my body as something that needed to be punished, that needed to be pushed to the limits to make it fit into what I wanted to. And now I see her as an instrument that I get to use every day to love my babies, to love my husband, to hopefully bring goodness into the world and into my neighborhood. And of course, going back to sex, one of the most helpful things that I have done is talking with my husband and myself. Yes, I sometimes talk to myself. If you're like me, you know what I mean. But talking with myself and my husband to redefine sex so that it's not just about how bodies look. So we've had discussions about what sex means to us. Is it just about, wow, I'm attracted to your body, so let's get in bed? Or is there a deeper meaning? And when I can focus on the meanings that I actually believe God intended for our sex life, for it to be a way to bind us to our spouse, to deeply connect us, to remind us of how much we love each other, in some instances, to become reconnected, to heal when we're feeling hurt. But of course, it's not just a Band-Aid. So I hesitate to say that. It's not just a Band-Aid, but it can be part of the process of healing our marriage when we have been hurt by your spouse or when we're feeling disconnected, but there's got to be a foundation of love and connection and sex to mean that we get to show with our bodies our deep commitment and love for each other. I hope that this episode has been great for you. I want to challenge you this week to pay attention to the conversations around you that focus on bodies. I want to challenge you to not comment on how people look and try to use different descriptive words about people. And then also to take some time to talk with your spouse and talk with yourself about what sex actually means to you and what you want it to mean, how you want it to be a part of your relationship and what you want it to mean for your relationship. And that's one reason I really wanted to create my freebie, Create a Deeply Connecting Sex Life, because so many of us are missing the deeper definition of sex. And I created it to help you and your spouse work through that together. And there are also other great things you get to work through in that, talking about desire and talking about tips for talking about sex, because it can be challenging to start those conversations. And as one of my students who grabbed that freebie said, she was actually so surprised that it wasn't nearly as awkward as she expected to talk with her husband about sex, and that it was great to talk about it and that they wanted to talk about it. I hope this has been helpful for you. Go ahead and go to ladiestalkinglove.com/connect so you can grab that freebie to start redefining sex in a way that's actually going to create the deeply connecting sex life that you desire. As always, thanks for talking love.
Thank you to all of you who listen and join me on this journey, and to our Ladies Talking Love team who make the podcast possible. Thanks to our sound wizard, Kimberly Demers,
and our miscellaneous task whiz, Melissa Havertz.